Um, but well, I really like doing that. Can't wait to watch that football game. But there is another playoff game, and that's going to be Ole Miss going against Miami. And instead of me gonna rambling for the first part of this, I'm gonna kick the mic to Sam Perry, and he's gonna start this preview.
Yeah, this is an awesome semi. You have a non-traditional SEC power that's come alive the last 2 years with Ole Miss, and then this buzzsaw in Miami, whose defense completely smothered Ohio State, and they won a thriller in College Station. And obviously, the talk the last week was Chambliss in that epic performance that he put on, and everyone's saying, is Chambliss going to be able to keep it going? Is this Miami defense going to be too much for him? But I think one of the main hinge points in this game is going to be on Kawan Lacey and Ole Miss's rushing attack. Miami boasts the fourth ranked rush defense in the country with only allowing 84 yards in a game per game this year. And in order for Ole Miss to hit these explosive downfield plays and for Chambliss to be able to hit his guys deep like he was able to do in the Georgia game, they're going to have to win on first and second downs on the ground. And that being said, if not, they're going to have to be really creative with Chambliss. There's been a few times this year, especially in the first Georgia game. I don't know if you guys remember, but Georgia was really able to heat Chambliss up in that fourth quarter and bat a lot of balls down. We actually talked about that, Charlie, watching the beginning because Georgia had a couple batted balls,
Yep.
and that's been a small problem with Chambliss is him getting the ball batted because of his height. So I'm really interested to see how Charlie Weiss is going to be able to creatively get him out of the pocket and kind of do his best to take Mesidor and Bain out of this game. I know obviously you're not going to be able to do that, but to do his best to limit them and not let them do what they did to Julian Sane to Trinidad Chambliss. And then the last thing on Chambliss, like he is just on, and I said this earlier, just an epic tear. Like Pate's been saying, like Deshaun Watson or like Johnny Manziel. And sometimes when you're hot like this, when you're throwing your fastball and curveball really well, like a hot pitcher, like there is nothing you can do to stop this. And I think that's the beauty of college football is like you just can't, sometimes you cannot stop and you can't quantify the stats or anything, but it's just a hot quarterback that you cannot stop. And this guy's going downhill. Next to Miami, um, we've seen Carson Beck be more supplemental to their offense in that they've been relying on the run. They did it against Texas A&M with Fletcher taking over that second half, and they did it really well against Ohio State. So I think Ole Miss is going to do their best to basically take away the run game. I don't know how much success they're going to have with that, but we've also talked about this being Miami's problem. And their two losses, they get seven interceptions that Beck's thrown, and turnovers were problems with him in the past. So is he going to be able to limit the turnovers? And what actually helps Miami in this situation is Ole Miss ranks really low in turnovers forced. They're ranked number 96th in the country in turnovers forced a game with just around one per game. So if Carson Beck is able to have that run game going for him and be able to do what he just did against Ohio State and throw for maybe 180 yards or 200 yards and be super efficient on third down, that is going to be a key for um, Miami as well as like their defense just mucking up this game. Second to last thing, the red zone, like we just said in the last game, is going to be a huge thing. The only issue with this is Ole Miss defense ranks 117th in red zone efficiency, stopping teams when they're in the red zone. So if Miami's able to convert, they might only need 24 points to win this game, or they might only need 17 points to win this game if they're able to shut down Ole Miss's offense a little bit. But this is the thing that you just can't really quantify, and it's the motivation factor of Ole Miss. And I wish that this was getting talked about more in the media, like a lot, obviously, so much on Chambliss, but you have to imagine every single day in those facilities and all the time in the locker room. Like they're obviously never going to videotape this, but Goldie is probably saying to them every second of the day, he didn't believe in you. No one believed in you. He left you to go win a national championship, and look where we are right now. They quit on you. No one thought that you would be where you are, and it's like they're playing with borrowed money and they're on stolen time.
You
So
think you think he could say that because the other assistants in the room are also leaving? Do you think he can even say that? Because like Charlie Weiss is like, I mean, like I'm going, but I mean,
Oh, I didn't even think about
I'm
Charlie
here,
Weiss.
I'm here by like technicality, but like I'm also gone. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know if that can be your messaging when half your assistants are
Those
also
guys
gone.
know. Those guys know it though.
Yeah, yo, they know it. That's an
It is being
intrinsic
told to them.
locker room thing. That's just that's not even being told them. That's at training table after Tuesday practice with the fellas, like just eating dinner. They're like, man, that fucker, like, that's when that's. I feel like that's when that's coming in. So I think you got the right feel. I think the message is gonna. I can't. I don't think Pete Golden's standing up there like traitors.
But yeah, no, I mean, all things aside, what a cool semifinal that we have.
Yeah.
Two flashy teams too. It's gonna be an awesome uniform matchup on the field. You got
Hopefully they wear
Miami's.
the baby blues. Like
They
goodness
are.
gracious. Okay,
They
thank you,
are.
thank you. Ole Miss.
Ole
Why
Miss,
are we
the Ole
throwing the
Miss
camo?
faithful's pretty. The Ole Miss faithful's pretty pissed because that was like Kiffin's darling was the baby blue, and they want the traditional like dark blue.
They're reclaiming the baby blue from Kiffin.
I like
Ole
it.
Miss is immune to wearing their school's actual color, which is dark blue. So
I didn't even know. I thought the dark blue was like was the alternate. I feel like I see the baby blue
no.
way more.
Yeah, because that was Kiffin's thing was the powder blue.
Up until Kiffin got there with his high water pants and loafers, they were navy blue and gray. And then they would throw in the red jerseys when they played Bama from time to time with like
Yeah,
Dante Moncrief and all them.
yeah, I do remember
Are you
that.
taking Ole Miss, Sam?
It'll be on the. I don't know yet,
I like that. I like that.
Undecided still.
but I
I
just
Um,
want
have this awesome Ole Miss future, and I feel like bad picking against them, but like I don't know.
Game time
I,
decision.
w- I want to preface two things before I make my prediction. First thing, just want to quickly dunk on the Notre Dame program and their fans and everyone else that
Ooh,
thought
I
that
like
Miami
this.
shouldn't be in the playoffs just because of what they've been able to pull off so far. Retroactively making fun of them and in the moment as well. And it's just funny in general. Second thing, I wore my solidarity orange to get back in the good graces of Miami fans that hate me after my prediction in the Ohio State game. So I'm pandering to them. And 2 points on the game. And the reason I think it's going to swing in Miami's favor. One, Miami has found the formula to win on offense. And similar to what Sam was saying about Ole Miss being hot and Chambliss being on a heater and sometimes it's just unstoppable. I think the Miami trenches are can be looked at in the same light. And they're dominating the line of scrimmage in every game they play. Their offensive line has been able to run the ball against Texas A&M and Ohio State, two of the best defenses in the country. Ohio State in particular was very surprising to me and just showed me that they're going to be able to line it up and run it against anyone. And that's the formula for them to win. It's can they run the football? I think it's very doable against Ole Miss. And the other piece of that formula is make it easy on Carson Beck. Don't ask him to throw the ball 35 times and ask him to make the easy throws when the field's being opened up a little bit because you have to commit to stopping the run more. And when Carson Beck's in a situation like that, he can produce at a very high level and can be one of the best quarterbacks in college football. And he's been in that position so far in the playoffs, and I think that formula can easily continue against this Ole Miss defense. And both of those things being considered, I think it's hard for me to see a way that Ole Miss's defense can stop Miami, and I think they'll be able to put up points against them if they're able to put up points against the other Ohio State, and then they were able to beat Texas A&M, not put up a lot of points, but that game had special circumstances. And then I'm just really, really excited for the best on best that we get in this game. It's Ole Miss's offense, which is arguably the best in the country, with one of the best QBs in the country, and it's Miami's defense, who outside of their ability to rush the passer, they have some of the best tackling linebackers and defensive backs in the entire country, and you see them fly around the football. And it's jumped out to me in every game they've played is the way that their corners and safeties and their backers too, who are usually good tacklers, but the way their DBs tackle is
Unbelievable.
the biggest indicator of the physicality level of that team and what they hang their hat on. And it's seriously impressive to me.
I mean, Jacoby
And
Thomas, Zachariah Poyster, and
mhm,
Deontay Scott. Like those three guys are unbelievable in the secondary.
yeah, and it's just I mean, it's hard for me to see a way Ole Miss can win. If Chambliss has and just lights the world on fire and is able to do similar things to what he did against Georgia, then they have a shot. But I just think their defense is too havable, and Miami's going to be able to impact Chambliss in a way that Georgia wasn't really able to. And I just can't see a way that they lose this game. I may come back to bite my words like I did for Miami at Ohio State, but I think Miami is going to show up and bring that level of physicality we've seen and be able to dominate this game. So I'm going to pick Miami. I'll take them to cover, and I think they're going to punch their ticket to the national championship, setting up one of the most intriguing title games we've had, I'd say ever. Miami versus Indiana, which would be completely absurd, but this is the world of college football we're in right now.
Yeah, Duska, I wanted to add on your strength and strength. You said like um the defense of Miami and the offense of Ole Miss. I wanted to just zoom in on one key matchup that I think is a strength for both teams, and that's Ole Miss's protection and Miami's edge rushers. So Miami is number one in the country in sacks, but Ole Miss played Oklahoma, who was number two in the country in sacks. And although Miami is the best edge rushing duo in the country and Oregon might be second, a close third may be Taylor Ween and Mason Thomas for Oklahoma. And they only got one sack. Trinidad Chambliss was kept clean most of the day. He had over 300 passing yards, no picks, and a touchdown. And he was really efficient that game. So um, Miami's edge rushers are a problem, no doubt. But Ole Miss doesn't just like put their tackles in one-on-one situations and just says like, here you go, like go ball, fellas. Dude, they're gonna run the ball. They're gonna try to get Kawan Lacey going. That helps your tackles. They're also going to they're oh wow. Bomb Perry bomb in the chat. But we'll get to that later. Ole Miss doesn't put their tackles in a ton of disadvantageous situations. They're going to run the ball. They throw a quick game. They have a mobile quarterback. They use their backs and their tight ends in protection. Their Kawan Lacey can pick up blitzes, and they help those guys out. So Diego Pounds and Jaden Williams are their tackles, and they're going to get help, but they do need to be dialed. They will have to be dialed in because there's going to be times where they are left on an island. And then this is the place where I think this is why I lean Miami. I'm picking Miami to win this game, and it's because Ole Miss is the most limited defense left in the field, probably in the they were the most limited defense left in the playoff last week. But what's interesting about their defense is they have two defensive tackles with over 55 tackles. Will Eccles, who's their best player on defense, has 62, and Xavier Harris has 56. To contrast that, Miami's interior D linemen, their starters have 27 and 25 tackles, meaning that Ole Miss really relies on their two interior D linemen to two gap, meaning when they button press with a guard, they're responsible for the gap to the left of them and the gap to the right of them, which is impressive how they're able to do that. I just think that and when Miami's going to run the rock down and just at will try and run the football and try to establish themselves physically, I don't know if that's physically tenable to have those guys have so much pressure on them to stop the run. I'm telling you, it's crazy that interior D linemen have over 55 tackles. So that's where I think that Miami might exploit them and look in the third and fourth quarter. That's where I think Mark Fletcher can get going. Similar to how he did against Texas A&M with the fourth quarter, he kind of blew up. I would expect that's kind of my prediction for where this game goes, and I have Miami winning. Although Trinidad Chambliss is my favorite player in college football, besides Navy players, and expecting a fun game, and I think Ole Miss is going to score the rock, and um, would be an electric Miami Indiana championship. Did you see what they were calling this game online?
No.
Yeah,
The Confederates versus the
it was
convicts.
Kev. Yeah.
The Confederates.
Yeah.
Uh, I was gonna say just my quick thing, real quick. I think the only way that we've seen something I am interested to see, the only thing that we've kind of seen give Ole Miss fits on offense this year because Charlie Weiss Jr. has just been dialing it up all year. I hope that he gets a coaching job in the NFL so he can leave college football for Georgia's sake. But he's been dialing it up all year, and the way that you can beat his style of offense that Ole Miss has been running for years is a lot of man coverage, which is what UGA used in that fourth quarter of the first matchup to really shut them down and be able to have a chance to come back and win. So I'm interested to see because I think Miami has the better personnel than Georgia to be able to do that with their D line getting pressure rather quickly. Because like Georgia didn't have that, and obviously that lacked, and I think Miami does with Bain and Mesidor. So I'm really interested to see that matchup. And one running back that I'm interested to see for Miami is Charmar Brown. He was the North Dakota State running back last year. He transferred there. He scored in the
Oh,
semifinal
is that
versus
the backup that we were talking about that
yeah.
earlier? That's his
Yeah,
name.
he's a
Yeah, dude,
semifinal. He
he's
scored against
good.
Ohio State, but he's really good. I mean, he balled out in the FCS title last year. But I think he's going to be Fletcher's going to be. I think Fletcher's going to be important against Ole Miss's defense, but I think Charmar Brown giving that like the second win and kind of giving a different dynamic than just like the bruiser Mark Fletcher. I think that'll be interesting. I think he's going to have a lot of success. But all in all, I can't I have to root for Ole Miss now. So I'm gonna take Ole Miss in this game to beat Miami.
I like that, Arch. And with that, that's going to be our full playoff breakdown segment. And we're going to get into a little bit of portal stuff. But Sam Perry, thank you for joining the podcast with us today. And
All right, I'll catch you boys later.
yeah,
Good stuff. Peace out.
we'll see you in a bit.